Greetings everyone. Today we're going to explore writing a linear equation from a graph. Make sure that you have your notes ready to go. All right, for this lesson, let's specifically start with slope-intercept form. And on your notes, if you don't already have it, you should see y equals mx plus b. So our first goal is we need to identify the slope, or the m. We're going to count it. You're going to look at the graph, count the slope, and replace the m value. Next, you're going to identify the y-intercept. The y-intercept is also known as the b value. You're just going to look at the graph. Where does it cross the y-axis? If you can see where it crosses, you're going to replace the letter b. And that's our third step. You're going to substitute the slope and the y-intercept into the slope-intercept formula. All right, so let's put this into action. First of all, we are only replacing the m and the b, nothing else. The x and the y need to be there. It needs to be written in a form that I could turn around and regraph if I needed to. And so let's start by counting our slope. Rise 1, run -2. Rise 1, run -2. Or another way to think about it is that line going up or down as you trace it from left to right. It's going down. Down means I better have a negative slope. We also need to identify the b value. Where does it cross the y-axis? It crosses at +1. You need a plus or minus sign there, otherwise it's not in the form of y equals mx plus b. Let's take a look at the next example. Again, I like to treat it as a fill in the blank, so you'll notice that I write these blanks all the time. This particular graph does not have any dots, so you decide. So on some of your homework, on some of your learning checks, you're going to have to draw dots or acknowledge where the perfect intersections are. Using any of these dots, if I count rise 1, run 2, rise 1, run 2, my m is 1/2. Next, I need to identify where I cross the y-axis. There's not going to be a dot there necessarily, but I do see that it perfectly crosses at +1. So look at that equation. That's something you could turn around and regraph. Let's take a look at example 3. Same layout. Y equals mx plus b. Let's count our rise, run. We're given some dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. Run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rise 4, run 5. It's reduced. Would you say that line is going up or down? If I trace it, it's going down, so that better be a negative slope. Make sure you have negative. B is where I cross the y-axis. I cross at +3. Take a look at example 4. This is special. This is special, which means no SIF or PSF. You are going to give me the shortest answer possible. What axis does this line cross? The y-axis. At what number? -2. If it's horizontal or vertical, it's the axis letter and the number. But what if I don't know the b value? If I do not know where I'm crossing the y-axis, I have to use a different approach, and that approach is going to be point-slope form. You have point-slope form written up above in your notes. If not, make sure you jot this down. We've done this before. This is not a new form. The first thing we need to continue to do, no matter what, if you're given a graph, is identify the slope. You're always going to fill in the m. Next, you need to identify a point. I strongly encourage you to write an x comma y point. Write it out so you can see it. And then you're going to substitute the slope and the point into the point slope formula. So let's put this into action. It's always going to be y a number equals a number, x a number. If you look at the point slope form, the m goes here, the x goes here, the y goes here. Draw on your graph, draw on your notes. Now, first of all, let's address the fact, do you know what b is on this? I could make a guess, but I do not know where my graph crosses the y-axis. So I'm sort of forcing you to write point slope form because I'm not giving you a b value. On a learning check, these are all going to be mixed up, and you're going to have to decide how to write your line. So let's start with the easy part, the rise run. Rise 2, run 3. Rise 2, run 3. My line is increasing, so it should remain positive. Now we need to pick a point. You could choose this dot, or you could choose this dot, or you could choose this. It's a perfect intersection. You could use any of those, meaning you and your neighbors could have different answers and still be correct. For the sake of being consistent, I'm going to say let's pick the green dot. Now, here's what I encourage you to write down on homework and write down on your notes. Tell me the coordinate value of that dot. You need to know that that dot exists at 1, 4. That's old news. That's from before our class. If my x is a positive 1, in the formula I write x minus 1. If my y is positive 4, I write y negative 4. If the opposite sign's confusing to you, you're going to want to see our previous point slope form video from the last unit. You always use the opposite signs. Let's take a look at the next one. I need a y number, an m number, and an x number. I have no b number. I have no idea where that crosses the y-axis. I could make a guess, but guesses aren't good enough. So let's count our rise, run. Rise 1, run 3. Rise 1, run 3. Would you say that line is going up or down? If I trace it, it's going down. That's why it's negative. Or it's negative because I went left 3. Next, let's pick a point. You can pick any point. You might pick this one where there's not even a dot, or this one where there is a dot, or this one where there's a dot, or even this one. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that you use whatever dot correctly. I'm going to choose the purple dot. Next to that dot, let's write its coordinate value. It exists at 2, 2. If my x is positive 2, I write negative 2. If my y is positive 2, I write negative 2. So that form of a line and the way we use the opposite signs is the same as the last unit. Let's take a look at the last two examples. Notice this example 7. There's no b value even on the graph, right? I mean, it exists somewhere down here, but I don't know what it is. So again, I'm forcing you to use point slope form. Count your rise, run first. Rise 3, run 1. Positive because I'm increasing over time. Let's pick a dot. It doesn't matter which dot you pick. I'm going to pick this blue dot. Write the coordinate value on your notes, on your homework. This dot exists at 2, negative 2. If my x says positive 2, I write negative 2. If my y is negative 2, I write positive 2. So see, you have to be very confident in the opposite signs, especially in that scenario. Even if I ask for PSF or SIF, I don't want it on these ones. You can just cross off those instructions. What axis am I crossing? Ooh, that was a bad line. Let's try that again. What axis am I crossing? The x-axis at what number? 5, right? I don't care about this slope in this case. I don't care about the y-intercept. I care about the equation. Letter, number, done. All right, let's take a look. If you need more help, there are tons of videos. Take a look around YouTube. Just type in writing linear functions from a graph if you want to hear another teacher. As always, make sure you check out Google Classroom to see what the task is for this assignment. And until next time, have a good one.